In the shadowed heart of the Velkan Dominion's High Council chamber, alien elders watch in horror as humans shatter galactic protocols with an act of brutal defiance. Confusion and dread ripple through their ranks. Meanwhile, a lone human commander prepares for a final, desperate gambit. The chilling promise of humanity's wrath echoes through a silent comm channel. The Velkan High Council chamber hummed with quiet menace. A constellation of luminescent panels and hovering hollow projections bathed the cavernous room in a cold, unsettling light. 8 towering alien figures encircled a colossal display, their many eyes fixed on the jagged image flickering before them. "Are we witnessing an act of suicide?" whispered Elder Ralthin, voice trembling as his tendrils quivered. The flickering scene showed a human vessel, battered and blackened, igniting a pulse of electromagnetic disruption that silenced every nearby system in a deafening void. The humans called it an EMP cascade. The Velkans called it madness. "It's not madness," snapped Councillor Zilor, voice sharp with fear. "It's war." The humans had violated the Treaty of Orbis, a centuries-old pact none dared break. Yet here, in the void near the Thalir expanse, a human warship obliterated a Velkan scout convoy with no warning, then vanished beneath a cloak of nanotech shimmer. The Velkans' multi-jointed limbs twitched with rising panic. "Why would they trigger a full shutdown, knowing it would blind them too?" asked Elder Vinthra. "There was no logic." "No logic," muttered another, "except death." The camera shifted, revealing the human ship's darkened bridge. Commander Sarah, her face grim and illuminated by the faint blue glow of instruments, stared out at the stars. Around her, silence filled the space. Radio channels dark, comms dead. Her voice cut through the void in a clipped, cold whisper. "Let them come. We will show them why the warnings were never ignored." She tapped the side of her console, initiating the last sequence. On the screen, a countdown blinked. 0030, 0029. The Velkans recoiled as a cryptic message spilled from the human channel. Barely a whisper, but clear enough. "We are the reckoning the universe forgot." The warnings were not prayers, but threats. The age of mercy ends now. The chamber went deathly silent. The ancient warning etched into galactic memory, a warning that humans were no simple primates to be trifled with, had finally come true. And now the universe would pay the price. The lab was dim, bathed in the cold blue glow of screens flickering with streams of data. Dr. Ilara Miles leaned closer to the ancient artifact resting beneath a transparent containment field, an oblong stone etched with patterns that shimmered faintly under. Scanning wavelengths, it was unlike anything the scientific community had ever recovered, a relic not just of alien origin, but of a civilization that had vanished long before the Velkans rose to power. Ilara's fingers trembled as she adjusted. The spectral analyzer, the artifact pulsed softly, as if breathing, emitting a low harmonic tone that resonated in her bones. A message, encoded in waves beyond conventional language, something old and profound. "Why here? Why buried beneath the ruins of old Earth?" she muttered to herself. Layers of sediment and time had concealed this warning for millennia. Her research assistant Jonas hovered nervously nearby. "They say the ancients feared us," he whispered. "That humanity's survival was a warning in itself." Ilara frowned. "Warnings or threats? There's a difference." The data exploded across the holo display, revealing fractal images, celestial maps overlaid with cryptic glyphs. The artifact spoke of a death world, a name given to Earth by civilizations who observed its brutal evolutionary crucible. Harsh climates, relentless predators, relentless war. A place where only the most adaptable could survive. "And yet," Ilara said, voice thick with awe. We survived. We evolved. We became something else. Across the galaxy, aboard the Velkin, flagship Erethus, Counselor Zilor paced in agitation. The humans were not simply defiant, they were rewriting the rules of survival. Their adaptability was unlike any species the Velkins had catalogued. How had the universe ignored the ancient warnings etched into cosmic memory? Humans breed violence like air, Zilor growled, but their violence is surgical, precise. A weapon forged through millennia of death. Elder Vinthra's eyes glinted with unease. It is said their ancestors were left unclaimed, orphaned on a forgotten world. The ancients spoke of a trial, a crucible that refined humanity into a species the stars themselves feared. The Velkins had always dismissed those tales as myth, folklore spun by starfarers to frighten the naive. But now the myths clawed into reality with teeth sharp and merciless. Back on Earth, Ilara's fingers danced across the holographic console. The artifact's secret was not just history, it was a record of betrayal. The species who left the warning had once tried to uplift humanity, only to be betrayed by their own hubris. The ancient notes revealed advanced terraforming tech, genetic modifications, forgotten tools buried in Earth's deepest vaults. Jonas swallowed hard. Are you saying the humans were meant to be controlled? Ilara's gaze hardened, or contained. Outside, rain hammered the lab's reinforced windows. Lightning cracked, illuminating the jagged ruins of old cities beyond. Humanity had been forged in fire and blood, and now those ancient scars were awakening. Perhaps the universe should have listened, Ilara whispered. And somewhere, in the silent reaches of space, the echoes of ancient betrayal rippled through the stars, awakening a primal fear. The universe had grossly underestimated Earth. Velkin pilots sat tensely in their cockpits, the dim glow of instrument panels reflecting off multifaceted eyes. Young Veshik's hands gripped the control yoke as his fighter sliced silently through the shadowed expanse near the outer rim. The briefing had been clear: patrol, observe, no engagement. Yet the nagging tension in his chest refused to abate. Sudden ripples shimmered in the void, a faint distortion barely perceptible, cloaking tech, but unlike any Velkin design. Veshik's instinct screamed, "Bandits at 5 o'clock!" He shouted into comms, but static swallowed his words. The first missile salvo streaked past, detonating in eerie silence. No warning, no chatter. Then the fighter's systems blinked out, shields flickering, engines stuttering, and electromagnetic. Pulse had swept the area. Veshik's console went dark. Losing power, systems failing. His voice cracked with panic. Yet in the void's darkness, a human squadron moved like shadows, weaving through enemy lines with ruthless precision. Nanotech cloaks flickered briefly before the humans struck again, targeting Velkin comm satellites, severing the network. Veshik's fighter lurched. He fought the failing controls, struggling to maintain altitude. Desperation gripped him as a small, almost imperceptible probe zipped past his hull, embedding tiny nanobots. The probe pulsed. Suddenly, Veshik's systems flooded with garbled data, overwhelming his sensors with false signals. His fighter spun helplessly. From the dark bridge of the human stealth vessel, Commander Sarah watched cold and unblinking. "Deploy nanoswarm." "Silence their eyes," she ordered, voice low but unyielding. Veshik's fighter crashed into a desolate asteroid, the explosion a muted thud in the vast emptiness. He barely had time to realize the terrifying truth. The humans' weapons were not brute force, but surgical invisibility. Technology evolved on a death world where survival depended on being unseen and unstoppable. The Velkin command scrambled. Response fleets. Analysts furiously recalibrated defenses against the new human tactics. This was no primitive species fighting with claws and fire. This was an evolved predator, a ghost in the void. In a secure Velkin war room, Counselor Zilor slammed a fist on the table. They are rewriting the rules of engagement. Our weapons, our tech, it's useless against them. An aide whispered, their nanotech disruptors rewrite electromagnetic fields on the fly. It's like fighting shadows. Then we must adapt. Zilla snarled, eyes burning. Or perish. But in that moment, doubt gnawed at the pillars of Velkan certainty. The humans weren't just savages. They were architects of their own brutal evolution, an evolution the galaxy had failed to comprehend until it was too late. The air inside the ruined outpost was thick with dust and the lingering scent of burnt circuits. Corporal Jace Harlan crouched behind the shattered remains of a supply crate, his breath ragged in the stale silence. His comm unit was dead, shattered during the last firefight, and the only sound was the distant hum of Velkan patrol drones sweeping the perimeter. He wiped grime from his forehead, eyes scanning the horizon where the scarred earth met the blood-red sky. The battle had been brutal, too brutal. But Jace had learned early that survival wasn't about glory, it was about endurance, about knowing when to fight and when to fade into shadows. Memories flickered like a fractured hollow in his mind. The endless wars on Earth before humanity's rise beyond the stars. Urban ruins turned battlefields, radiation storms, guerrilla raids in collapsed megacities. The planet had shaped them, shaped him. Hardened by hardship and loss, his squad had lost half their number today. Friendships torn apart by fire and fear. Yet the unspoken truth lingered. Humanity thrived because it could absorb pain and become stronger. Velkan tech called it primitive. Jace called it survival. A faint crackle on the emergency channel cut through the quiet. "Jace, status?" the voice of Captain Elder whispered. "Still holding," Jace replied, voice low. "But we're outnumbered and outgunned. They've adapted to our tactics." Elder's voice carried a hint of steel. "Then adapt harder." Jace glanced at the makeshift weapon in his hands, a hybrid pulse rifle fused with stolen alien tech and Earth-forged upgrades. The real advantage wasn't brute force. It was the melding of human ingenuity with scavenged power. Nanotech suppressors, gravity modulation pulses, tools designed to level the playing field. He tightened his grip and exhaled slowly. Every scar, every loss, every burned-out memory was a step toward something greater. The humans were not just fighters. They were the embodiment of a primal force no alien calculation had anticipated. Suddenly, the sky rippled as a Velkan drop pod slammed nearby. The outpost erupted into chaos. Jace sprang to his feet, heart pounding. "Hold the line! For Earth!" he shouted, and the battle raged anew, an unyielding storm fueled by the unbreakable human spirit. Inside the towering spires of Velkan Command, factions collided like crashing waves. The great chamber hummed with tension as Councillor Zilor faced Elder Vinthra across the polished obsidian table. Behind them, holograms of devastated battlefields flickered, a grim testament to humanity's relentless assault. "We cannot negotiate with monsters," Zela spat. "Their brutality knows no bounds. They desecrate every treaty, every sacred law. They must be destroyed." Vinthra's eyes glimmered with a rare softness. "And what of mercy? Have we not survived by showing strength tempered with wisdom? If we annihilate them, what will remain of our honor, our civilization?" A murmur ran through the assembled elites. Some nodded cautiously, others clenched fists in anger. Meanwhile, across Earth's war room, Commander Sarah stared down a map littered with strike points and casualty markers. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara, frowned deeply. "Commander, the Council demands escalation. They want total domination, no prisoners. But the human networks are fracturing, civilians caught in the crossfire. Morale is slipping." Sarah's jaw tightened. "We are fighting to survive, not conquer. Mercy is a weapon more powerful than Any plasma cannon. But make no mistake, this war will end on our terms. Back in Vulcan halls, dissent grew. Some argued for surrender, others for ruthless finality. The ancient warnings had fractured their once unified resolve. "Why do they fight with such madness?" a junior officer whispered to an elder. "Why refuse mercy when defeat is certain?" The elder's voice was a shadow. "Because humanity is not a species to be pitied. They are born from death itself, and death is their ally." As both sides grappled with their own demons, the war escalated, not just on battlefields, but in hearts and minds. Alliances fractured, loyalties tested. The universe's oldest question echoed anew: when does survival become savagery, and when does mercy become weakness? The vault lay buried beneath layers of forgotten earth, sealed tight for thousands of years. Dr. Ilara Miles and her team pried open the ancient gateway with tools calibrated for precision, ancient alien alloys intertwined with human engineering. As the heavy door slid open with a hiss, stale air spilled out like a whispered secret. Inside, the chamber pulsed with bioluminescent glyphs, stories etched into stone walls, telling of ancestors who had faced cosmic annihilation. The images revealed a world teetering on the edge of extinction, ravaged by unknown horrors that had nearly erased humanity from existence. Ilara traced her fingers over the reliefs. Figures locked in eternal struggle with monstrous beasts, celestial storms tearing the sky asunder and weapons beyond imagination. Gravity disruptors, nanite swarms, shields made of pure energy. These were not myths. They were warnings etched into time. Her assistant Jonas stared wide-eyed. This is the real origin of the Deathworld legend. Our ancestors survived not just nature, but horrors from beyond the stars. Ilara nodded. And they left these weapons here, hidden in plain sight, waiting for a time when we'd need them again. The implication was chilling. Humanity's evolution had been a series of harsh tests, each shaping the species into a perfect predator in a galaxy that misunderstood it. Above, distant sirens echoed, a reminder that the war was far from over. Yet beneath the earth, a new hope flickered. The ancient weapons might be the key to turning the tide. Ilara's voice was barely a whisper. "We're not the hunted anymore. We're the inheritors of a power the universe tried to bury." The cold vacuum of space around the Vulcan stronghold glowed faintly with the light of distant stars, but the silence was shattered by the thunder of war. Commander Sara's fleet advanced with deadly precision, sleek human ships weaving through. Enemy fire with gravity manipulation arrays humming beneath their hulls. "Deploy disruptors," Sara ordered. "Target their shield generators first." Nanotech swarms erupted from the human vessels, cascading over Vulcan defenses like liquid shadows. The disruptors gnawed at energy fields, fracturing shields and leaving the alien ships vulnerable. Explosions blossomed in clusters, lighting the void with violent beauty. Inside the flagship, Vulcan General Thalkin barked orders, his many limbs moving frantically. "Hold the line, reinforce the shields," but the tide was turning. Human technology honed in Earth's crucible was no mere mimicry. It was evolution incarnate, blending science and survival instincts born from Deathworld adversity. In the thick of battle, Sara's voice was calm but fierce. "Remember what they told us, the warnings, the betrayal. We fight not for revenge, but to reclaim our place." Her fighter dove through the chaos, narrowly evading a plasma volley. The Vulcan ships faltered, caught in a deadly dance they had not anticipated. Back on the Vulcan command bridge, panic spread like wildfire. "They have surpassed all intelligence reports," a commander gasped. "Their tactics evolve mid-battle." Zilla's face was a mask of grim determination. "Then we must evolve faster, or be extinguished." The universe's old order was cracking. Humanity's ancient warnings had not been idle threats. They were prophecies of a power that could no longer be denied. Darkness cloaked the ruined cityscape where Captain Elder and her squad moved like ghosts through crumbled streets. The acrid smell of burning rubble mingled with the sharp tang of ozone, a reminder of the recent orbital bombardments that had turned homes into ash. Elder's eyes flicked to her HUD. Multiple hostiles detected ahead. Her voice was a low whisper. "Stay sharp! They're adapting fast!" Her squad spread out, their pulse rifles humming softly with nanotech enhancements, silent but lethal. Each step was measured, every breath controlled. They had learned the hard way that noise meant death. Suddenly, a shadow shifted, an alien soldier cloaked with adaptive camo trying to flank them. Jace reacted instantly, launching a gravity pulse that pinned the attacker against a wall. "Gotcha," Jace muttered, breathing hard. Elder's comm crackled. "Enemy reinforcements incoming. We need to push forward. Extract the intel before." They regroup. The squad advanced, weaving through debris, their neural implants synchronizing movements with deadly precision. But the battlefield was changing. Velkan bioengineered beasts now patrolled the outskirts, ferocious hybrids designed to hunt. Jace caught sight of one, its eyes glowing red. It charged. Time slowed as Jace aimed his weapon, firing a burst of nano-suppressed rounds. The beast stumbled but didn't fall. It lunged again, only to be met by Elder's plasma blade, slicing clean through muscle and bone. The fight was brutal, primal. The Velkans had brought their worst, but humanity met savagery with something fiercer, relentless will. As the squad secured the data core, Elder's mind flashed back to the ancient warnings, the sacrifices, the betrayals, the relentless fight for survival. They weren't just soldiers. They were the last hope of a species forged in hellfire, and in the shadows, the city whispered its secrets, waiting for humanity to claim its destiny. The night sky above the remote scientific outpost flickered with unfamiliar constellations. Distant suns casting cold light on a world that had long forgotten peace. Dr. Ilara Miles stood at the observation deck, her silhouette etched against the vast darkness beyond the reinforced glass. The data streams hummed in her ears, but her mind raced through questions that had no easy answers. Behind her, Jonas paced anxiously, hands trembling. "Ilara, the ancient vault's glyphs, they're more than just history. It's a prophecy, something about the humans awakening a power long buried." Ilara didn't turn. The warnings weren't just cautionary tales, they were instructions, a blueprint for survival in a universe that never wanted us to rise. Her gaze drifted to the starfield, where human fleets danced in intricate maneuvers far below orbit. "We're not the same species the galaxy remembers. We're the product of betrayal, adaptation, and relentless evolution." Jonas swallowed hard. But what if the warning wasn't just about defense? What if it was about the cost of survival, what we're becoming? Ilara's eyes narrowed. Cost is the currency of survival. And humanity is the richest species in the universe. Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. The observation deck shuddered under distant impacts. On the main holoscreen, the Velkan fleets emerged from hyperspace, vast and imposing, their weapons locked and ready. "Velkan reinforcements," Jonas said grimly. "They're not giving up." Ilara's voice was steady, cold. "Then we give them a show they won't forget." The battle outside unfolded like a cosmic storm. Human ships, smaller and faster, darted through Velkan firestorms with surgical grace. Cloaking fields shimmered, shielding them from devastating plasma blasts. Nanotech swarms wriggled through the void, disabling enemy systems one by one. On the bridge of the flagship Resolute, Commander Sarah directed every move with ruthless precision. Deploy gravity mines at Sector 4. Channel EMP bursts in sync. Disrupt their comms, force them into chaos. Her second-in-command, Latau, Mara, nodded sharply. Enemy flagship is weakening, hull integrity dropping to 42%. Sarah's eyes gleamed with fierce determination. Good. Push the attack. No mercy. Yet as the battle raged, a new threat emerged. From the depths of Vulcan reinforcements, a colossal warship cloaked in dark matter appeared, a relic from an ancient era. Its weaponry was unlike anything. In the current war, capable of tearing through the fabric of space-time itself, the Vulcan commanders faltered, panic rippling through their ranks. "What is that thing?" one demanded. Sarah's voice dropped. "A warning we ignored. The galaxy's ghosts have returned." Back at the scientific outpost, Ilara activated the ancient weapon systems buried within the vault, gravity disruptors powered by quantum nanites. Their hum a deep, resonant pulse that vibrated through the station. "Powering up," she announced. "This is our edge." Jonas stared at the controls, awe and fear mingling in his eyes. If this goes wrong... Ilara's hand rested firmly on the activation lever. "It won't. We've survived worse." The station's shields flared as the first waves of Vulcan bombardment hammered its outer defenses. Outside, the human fleet intensified their assault, coordinating strikes to draw fire away from the outpost. Suddenly, the ancient weapon unleashed a pulse, a shockwave of gravitic distortion that ripped through the Vulcan fleet, tearing ships apart at the molecular level. The dark matter warship screamed in defiance, its weapons firing wild bursts, but the tide was turning. In the midst of battle, Sarah's comm crackled urgently. "Commander, the Vulcan flagship is retreating. They're pulling back." Sarah allowed herself a brief smile. "Good. Let them think they've survived." Her eyes narrowed. "Prepare for the next phase. This war isn't over." But victory came at a cost. The outpost was severely damaged. Power flickered, life support, systems strained. Ilara collapsed into a chair, exhaustion etched into her features. Jonas placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "We did it. For now." Ilara stared at the starfield once more. "The universe still doesn't understand us, but soon they will." Her voice dropped to a whisper, fierce and cold. They should have listened. The stars above held their silence, bearing witness to a species reborn in fire, betrayal, and ancient warnings. Humanity was no longer the forgotten, the primitive, or the weak. It was the reckoning, and the universe would never forget. The sterile hum of the Vulcan medical bay was a cruel contrast to the chaos outside. Counselor Zilor lay slumped on the examination table, his once proud form ravaged by wounds both physical and psychological. His many limbs trembled as medics applied healing nanites, but his eyes remained sharp, burning with a fury that refused to die. A young Vulcan officer approached cautiously. "Counselor, the humans have seized 3 outposts and crippled our supply lines. Their tactics evolve faster than we can counter." Zilla's voice was low, thick with bitterness. "They are not merely adapting. They are rewriting the rules of war." He paused, staring out a nearby viewport where distant stars shimmered coldly. The ancient warnings we ignored spoke of their resilience, their savagery masked as civility. "We believed ourselves the apex. That was our fatal mistake." The officer hesitated. "Is there any hope of turning this tide?" Zilla's gaze hardened. "Hope died the moment we underestimated them. But survival demands sacrifice, even if it means confronting the monsters we once called primitive." Meanwhile, deep within Earth's hidden command bunker, Commander Sarah reviewed intercepted Vulcan communications. Her fingers danced over holomaps, tracking enemy movements and supply chain disruptions. Lieutenant Mara entered, face grim. "We've detected Vulcan attempts to regroup in the Gethys sector. They're planning a counterstrike." Sarah's expression tightened. "Let them come. We're ready." Her eyes flicked to a secure terminal flashing with data from the ancient weapon systems. "The power we've unleashed is more than just technology. It's a message. We are the reckoning." They ignored. Mara nodded. Our people need to hear that message. They need to know we're not invincible. But we never surrender. Sarah's lips curled into a hard smile. Not invincible, but unstoppable. Back on the Velkan flagship, as it limped through space toward the next battle, Zilla whispered to himself. They spoke of warnings and we turned away. Now the universe trembles before humanity's shadow, but even shadows can be hunted. His fingers clenched into fists. This war will define the fate of all, whether we fall or rise. It will be remembered. The stars outside gleamed indifferently. The ancient warnings had been clear. The universe should have listened. The battlefield was a shattered mosaic of fire and ruin, strewn with twisted wreckage and silent echoes of lives lost. Captain Elder moved through the debris, her armored boots crunching on fractured metal as she scanned the horizon with relentless focus. The bitter taste of smoke and ash clung to the air, a grim reminder of the sacrifices etched into every scarred inch of this world. Her squad tightened formation, each soldier a living testament to humanity's unyielding will. Elder's neural interface flickered with incoming data, enemy movement patterns, threat assessments, tactical overlays, all processed in a heartbeat, guiding their every step. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground. Velkan bio-engineered beasts emerged from the shadows, grotesque and relentless, their limbs a twisted fusion of organic muscle and metallic plating. Their eyes burned with predatory hunger. "Hold steady," Elder commanded, voice calm but fierce. "Use the suppressors. Target their neural clusters." Her squad unleashed a symphony of nano-enhanced pulses and gravity distortions. Beasts howled, faltered and collapsed, but more surged forward, relentless as the tide. Amid the chaos, Jace spotted movement near a crumbling tower, a Velkan commander attempting to rally troops. Without hesitation, he activated his cloaking device, slipping through the carnage like a shadow. He reached the commander, deploying a nanite injector that crippled the alien's nervous system. The commander collapsed, twitching, eyes wide with disbelief. Back with the squad, Elder's comm crackled. "Extraction point compromised. We need an alternative." Jace's voice came through, steady despite exhaustion. "I'm heading to the old tunnel system. It's risky but viable." Elder nodded. "Do it. We'll cover you." As Jace vanished into darkness, Elder's gaze hardened. This was more than survival. It was a war forged in fire, where every choice carried the weight of humanity's legacy. And as the ancient warnings echoed in her mind, she knew one truth above all. The universe had underestimated humanity's hunger for survival, and it would pay dearly. The dim glow of emergency lights cast long shadows across the battered bridge of the Resolute. Commander Sarah stood at the center, her gaze unwavering as the ship groaned under fire. Outside, space was a swirling tempest of debris and plasma, the aftermath of a battle that had stretched the limits of human endurance and ingenuity. Her voice cut through the tension. "All systems! Status report!" Latin Mara's fingers flew over the controls. Shields at 30%, engines holding steady but overheating, weapon systems operational but power fluctuating. Sarah's eyes hardened. "We've come too far to fall now. Divert all available power to forward weapons and propulsion. We take the fight to them." No hesitation. A low rumble shook the hull as Velkan warships surged back for another assault. Their massive forms, dark and menacing, loomed like specters of annihilation. But the humans fought with the fury of a species forged in fire and betrayal, each maneuver a testament to a survival instinct honed across millennia. On the ground below, Captain Elder's squad navigated the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the shattered city. The air was thick with dust and tension. Every corner held the promise of ambush. Every shadow concealed a threat. Jace led the way, his pulse rifle scanning continuously. His cloaking device flickered erratically from overuse, but he pressed on, determined to reach the extraction point. Keep moving, Elder's voice urged through comm. Extraction won't wait. Suddenly the tunnel shuddered violently. Dai! Controlled collapse triggered by Vulcan sabotage. Rocks and debris tumbled down, cutting off their path. Alternate route. Jace asked, breath tight. Elder's mind raced. There's an old maintenance shaft on the east wall. We'll have to climb. The squad scrambled, muscles burning as they scaled rusted ladders and squeezed through narrow vents. The danger was palpable, but so was their resolve. Above orbit, the Resolute unleashed a devastating barrage. Sarah's eyes never left the battle displays, calculating, adapting. The ancient weapon systems pulsed in harmony with their fleet, a symphony of destruction born from humanity's darkest past and brightest hope. Commander, Latin Mara reported, Vulcan flagship is retreating, critical systems failing. Sarah allowed herself a brief, sharp smile. Push forward, end this. The flagship erupted in a final, blinding explosion, a testament to the fierce defiance of a civilization unwilling to yield. Back on the ground, Elder's squad emerged from the shafts onto a rocky plateau bathed in harsh, artificial light. Transport. Shuttles waited, engines thrumming with urgency. As they boarded, Elder glanced back at the ruined city, the battlefield where ancient warnings had been ignored and human fury had rewritten destiny. Her comm crackled. Mission complete, extracting... Now. Jace exhaled, fatigue pulling at his bones. We survived, we adapted. Elder's eyes narrowed, fierce and clear. This is just the beginning. In the silence that followed across the stars, the universe shifted. Ancient warnings had spoken of humans, a species born of sacrifice, betrayal, and unyielding will. The galaxy had failed to listen. Now it would learn, and humanity would not be forgotten.